I'm Tickle from the show Moonshiners, and we're here in Spring Lake Park, Minnesota.
If you smell moonshine and you can't smell and you can't determine what it's made from, then you don't want to drink it.
No.
When a man who once turned illegal moonshine into a television sensation hits the headlines again, the story is never just about the crime. What happens when the wild charm that won millions of fans becomes the very thing that destroys a second chance at life? Stephen Ray Tickle's latest legal battle isn't about a dramatic police chase or a secret still found in the woods. It's about a simple, yet devastating mistake that brought his complicated past rushing back, reminding us all how one wrong turn can unravel an entire legacy. The main incident unfolded. Stephen Ray Tickle's most recent legal troubles began with what seemed like an ordinary car accident. Unlike the high-speed chases or moonshine raids that might come to mind, this incident was much simpler, but far more consequential. Tickle was reportedly driving with a suspended license when the accident happened, a fact that seemed minor at first glance, but proved to be the breaking point in his long battle with the law. For most people, a suspended license violation might result in a fine and perhaps a brief suspension. But for Tickle, the stakes were dramatically higher. The reason this mistake had such a severe impact lies in Tickle's already precarious legal situation. He was operating under a strict, suspended penitentiary sentence that had been hanging over him for years. The court had imposed harsh conditions on him after a felony conviction, warning that any infraction, no matter how small, would send him back to prison. When the paperwork revealed his suspended status at the time of the accident, it triggered that long-standing threat, turning what seemed like a minor violation into a severe breach of probation. This incident marked a turning point. Tickle's pattern of behavior, seen through the eyes of the court, painted him as someone unwilling or unable to change. Instead of a one-time stumble, the judge viewed this as proof that his streak of lawlessness remained unbroken. The consequences were swift and unforgiving, a reminder that prior decisions often cast long shadows over the future. What makes this case even more dramatic is that the infraction wasn't connected to the illegal moonshine trade directly, but was still enough to bring his entire past crashing down. It's a powerful example of how a seemingly small misstep can result in monumental consequences, especially when layered on years of legal history. The car accident was not just an accident, it was the final thread in a tapestry of ongoing struggles between Tickle's desire for freedom and the weight of his past. Those who have followed his story knew this day could come, a moment where the law would finally claim its due. Yet, the real story behind that sentence and what it meant for Tickle's future took time to unfold. Behind the headlines, this incident represents more than just a driving violation. It symbolizes a tipping point, a dramatic halt to the redemption arc Tickle had been attempting to build for years. The reality star who lived life on the edge faced a collapse not caused by a daring escape or crime, but by the unforgiving machinery of the judicial system, catching up with him at a fragile moment. His world was suddenly suspended, along with his license. The public and fans were left questioning how a man who had worked so hard to turn his life around could fall so quickly. The irony was not lost on many. A man famous for defying the law on the television screen was undone by something so ordinary yet so final. This was not the moment viewers expected, and it left many hungry to understand how Tickle's past combined with this recent mistake to seal his fate. The court's decision was more than a punishment for a license violation. It was a declaration that Stephen Ray Tickle's story was far from over, but no longer in his control. This event set off a cascade of consequences that would ripple through his personal life, career, and public image. The details behind the original charges and how they contributed to this moment build a deeper picture of the man behind the headlines. As we pull back the layers of Tickle's legal troubles, it becomes clear that this accident was only the trigger. What followed is a complicated web tied to choices made years earlier, choices that many hoped he had left behind for good. The nuanced tale of his past crimes shows why this mistake was more than just a simple error in judgment. Transitioning from the weight of this defining event, we delve into the past that shadowed Tickle long before the accident, his previous crimes, and the suspended sentence that set the stage for his fall. The burden of past crimes. Stephen Ray Tickle's legal troubles trace back to a defining moment years before the recent accident, a felony conviction that would overshadow much of his adult life. In 2015, a routine traffic stop led authorities to find a 12-gauge sawed-off shotgun in Tickle's truck, leading to serious charges under federal and state laws concerning unregistered firearms. It was the spark that ignited a legal firestorm. On February 1, 2016, Tickle was convicted of possession of an illegal short-barreled shotgun. The offense carried the weight of a felony charge. The judge then handed down a 3-year suspended penitentiary sentence, meaning Tickle would avoid prison only if he adhered fully to the law during probation. The suspended sentence hung like a sword over his head, a reminder that any further violations could trigger immediate incarceration. It was meant as a final chance for Tickle to prove he could live within the law's boundaries. Unfortunately, the terms were strict, allowing no room for error. The agreement specified that any infraction, no matter how minor, would revoke the suspension and send him to serve his full sentence. Tickle's freedom thus depended on a fragile balance. By September 15, 2016, Tickle had already faced an arrest for probation violation, leading to 5 months in jail. Though he managed to return to public life after this stint, the debt to the original sentence remained unpaid. The sawed-off shotgun case formed the foundation for the judge's harsh view of Tickle's recent driving violation. Rather than seeing the suspended license incident as isolated, the court interpreted it as continuing evidence of his unwillingness to abide by societal rules. Every misstep continued a narrative of lawlessness that began with the shotgun conviction. This context is crucial to understanding why Tickle's latest sentence was so severe. It wasn't just about a car accident or a license, it was the culmination of years of legal warnings and restrictions. The suspended penitentiary sentence was the legal thread tying all his troubles together, making each new violation a stepping stone back to prison. Knowing this past helps explain the judge's firm stance. The court's ruling was not simply punitive, but also symbolic. A message that repeated breaches of trust had consequences. Tickle's charm and celebrity on television could no longer shield him from these realities. The legal system had reached a breaking point, with the moonshiner turned reality star. Behind the headlines, this legal burden shaped much of Tickle's actions and decisions, coloring the public's perception of him and limiting his freedom. It created a constant tension between who he wanted to be and the shadows of his past mistakes. Understanding this past is essential to grasp why a seemingly simple accident turned into a dramatic courtroom finale. The complexity of Tickle's legal background also frames his rise to television fame, where his outlaw reputation became both a blessing and a curse. His story goes beyond just legal battles. It is intertwined with the persona that made him a star. From outlaw to TV star, Stephen Ray Tickle was more than just a man with a troubled past. He became an emblematic figure of Appalachian culture, celebrated and scrutinized through the lens of reality television. His story might have remained local folklore if not for the Discovery Channel's show Moonshiners, which put a national spotlight on his unique blend of rebellion and charisma. The series captured the secretive world of illegal distilling and Tickle's role within it. turning him into a television icon. Early on, Tickle was cast as a still hand working alongside veteran moonshiner Tim Smith. His unpredictable nature, quick wit, and knack for trouble quickly made him stand out from the rest. Viewers loved him not only for his outlaw antics, but for his humor and raw authenticity. He became the chaotic foil to Tim's methodical approach, adding dramatic tension and comic relief to the show. By 2013, Tickle's popularity warranted a spin-off series simply titled Tickle. This show followed his efforts to sell a massive hidden stash of moonshine discovered in the backwoods, putting his business skills to the test. To facilitate legal movement of the product, he even opened Tickle's Tackle, a fishing store turned legitimate business in Gretna, Virginia. Tickle's television presence made him more than a local legend. He became an Appalachian folk hero to millions. His antics, often chaotic and rebellious, the show humanized him, giving fans a glimpse into his contradictions, a craftsman and troublemaker, a union carpenter with a penchant for breaking the law. This larger-than-life persona carried over into real business ventures. Tickle partnered with Sugarland's Distilling Company to develop a legal brand of spirits, transforming his outlaw notoriety into a lucrative commercial product line. A tall order for someone with his history. The limelight also intensified scrutiny. The publicity surrounding his legal troubles elevated personal failures into public spectacle. The line between entertainment and real-life consequence blurred, making each legal misstep a headline for fans and critics alike. His struggles became part of the show's allure, the ongoing saga of a man who couldn't quite escape his outlaw nature. Despite the fame and business success, Tickle's story remained defined by tension. His television career captured this ongoing battle, showcasing not only his moonshining skills, but also his very human flaws. This dynamic of fame and fall would come full circle as the pressures of the spotlight met the weight of the law. Tickle's television stardom was inseparable from his legal struggles, each feeding into the other and setting the stage for the dramatic events that followed. Understanding his rise helps explain why his recent sentencing resonated far beyond the courtroom. Tickle's public journey invites us to look closer at the contradictions in his life and what they reveal about the struggle to change when the past holds such a grip. From here, we move to the deeper conflict he faced, living between two worlds, the lawful and the outlaw, and how that tension shaped his path forward. The struggle between two lives. Stephen Ray Tickle's life has long been defined by a tug-of-war between two very different worlds. On one hand, he was deeply rooted in the Appalachian tradition of moonshining, a defiant craft that connected him to his family's past and the wild, lawless spirit of rural America. On the other hand, he was a skilled union carpenter with a legitimate profession, building commercial structures and earning an honest living. Tickle's carpentry career wasn't just a sideline, it was impressive in its own right. He spent 2 years working in the Washington, D.C. area, contributing to major projects like Clyde's Restaurant near the Verizon Center. His craftsmanship was meticulous, showing a side of him that valued structure and precision, traits that clashed with the chaotic nature of moonshining. This legitimate career gave him a chance to step away from his outlaw lifestyle, but the draw of the woods and the illicit trade remained strong. These creations reflected his rebellious spirit and defiance of the law. Meanwhile, his carpentry projects required careful planning. Juggling these identities revealed an inner conflict few could understand. This tension weighed heavily on Tickle's chances for a peaceful future. While he was capable of making a living that elevated him above trouble, his passion for moonshining remained deeply ingrained. He once admitted, "It gets in your blood. I'll moonshine till the day that I die." That admission captures the core of his struggle. Between embracing tradition and escaping an outlaw reputation. It was a battle that influenced every major choice he made. Those close to Tickle saw the frustration this conflict caused. His talent in carpentry hinted at a life he could have built without the constant threat of legal trouble. Yet, the pull of illicit profits and the thrill of defying the system were magnets too strong to resist. Tickle's political ambitions also reflected a desire to redefine himself beyond the moonshiner label. His 2013 run as an independent candidate for Virginia's 5th congressional district shows he sought validation in mainstream society. However, his raw and unfiltered opinions, especially his criticism of the Affordable Care Act, revealed a man still fighting against established norms. This only deepened the image of someone caught between worlds, yearning for acceptance but unwilling to conform fully. His television fame added another layer to the struggle. The spotlight shone both on his outlaw antics and his attempts at legitimacy. The spotlight didn't just amplify his successes, it magnified every misstep, underscoring how difficult it was to live two lives so at odds with each other. Ultimately, the story of Stephen Ray Tickle is one of contradiction. A man gifted with skill and charisma, yet bound by the very heritage and defiance that fueled his rise and downfall. It was this ongoing tension that shaped his choices and set the stage for the fragile redemption he would later strive to achieve. The battle between the lawful carpenter and the outlaw moonshiner was far from over. Despite the conflicts pulling him in different directions, Tickle made moves to secure a more stable future, which leads us to the years where he tried to rewrite his story, building on love, business, and a tentative promise of change. A fragile redemption. In the years before his latest sentencing, Stephen Ray Tickle seemed to be turning his life around. He found stability with his longtime partner, Carolyn, a bail bondswoman and realtor whose steady lifestyle balanced his chaotic past. Their relationship symbolized hope, blending two very different worlds with humor and devotion. Their 2019 moonshine-themed wedding marked more than love. It was Tickle's declaration that he wanted to leave his outlaw image behind. Carolyn became his grounding force, managing much of the business side of his ventures, helping him stay focused and avoid old temptations. Together, they opened Tickle's Heartline. His history of probation violations and arrests kept the threat of prison close. In interviews, Tickle credited Carolyn as his reason to act right, while she spoke of their goofy date nights and shared laughter amid chaos. Still, Tickle's rebellious streak often clashed with the discipline needed to maintain a clean reputation. Each misstep risked his businesses, marriage, and second chance. Their story became one of love tested by consequence, a fragile redemption constantly shadowed by the past. His journey toward redemption was as much about fighting internal battles as external ones, a fight that continues to define his life. The aftermath and what's next. Stephen Ray Tickle's latest sentencing shook both his personal life and the Moonshiners' fan community. Ordered to serve the remainder of an 18-month suspended sentence, he once again faced the harsh reality of incarceration. For a man who'd fought to move past his outlaw image, the setback was crushing. Proof of how fragile redemption can be when old habits return. Despite his legal troubles, Tickle's presence on Discovery Channel's Moonshiners endures. The show, renewed for a 14th season in 2025, continues to feature him through pre-recorded footage. The network has embraced his struggles, knowing they add drama and authenticity to a show built around life on the edge of the law. Fans reacted with a mix of sympathy and frustration. Many want to see Tickle succeed, but recognize a pattern of self-sabotage. To them, he's a folk anti-hero, caught between redemption and relapse. Past episodes have portrayed his jail time with both honesty and empathy, cementing him as a figure defined by cycles of struggle and recovery. The line between tragedy and television has blurred, but the story remains captivating. His wife, Carolyn, managed their ventures and held things together, her loyalty hinting at hope for renewal once he's free. Tickle's fight isn't just about the law, it's about breaking cycles, reclaiming identity, and proving that even outlaws crave redemption. Stephen Ray Tickle's story is a powerful reminder that one misstep can change everything. From outlaw moonshiner to reality TV star and businessman, his life shows the challenges of escaping the past. If you found this story compelling, please like and subscribe for more deep dives into real-life drama and redemption. Your thoughts are welcome in the comments below.